It's Ventline, Wednesday edition. Zolgad, joined by my good buddy, Star Tribune sports columnist Chip Scoggins. Declan, as always, producing. Today we're going to play a game, Chipper.
You love that sound, don't you?
Oh, I love the panic zone. Obviously I do, because I am the king of panic. We are going to play a game that's going to include us and also you, 651-646-8255, as we sit here, the Ventline Coffee Club, on until noon from the TCL broadcast studios. Very simple title to today's game: Smoke or Fire.
Ooh.
Smoke or fire. And we will start with the aforementioned Stefon Diggs. And if you're wondering about the last part of commentary, that was Courtney Cronin of ESPN, who covers the Vikings, along with Matthew Collar yesterday on Purple Daily. Stefon Diggs has now taken all Vikings mentions off his Instagram page. He has, more importantly, put out a weeks-long series of cryptic tweets about himself, which might be talking about his relationship or his relationship with a certain football team. Where would you, between smoke or fire, where would you put what Stefon Diggs has been doing for the past, well, I guess it really goes back to week 4 when he skipped practice, but this series of off-season decisions which seem to be trying to tell us something?
First of all, I feel like I'm 16 analyzing social media.
Hey, welcome to 2020, man. Call your kids. Call the John Morant fan, and he could probably help out our show.
I'm going to say smoke, just because to me it can't be fire until we hear from him. We don't see him at OTAs. He boycotts again. To me, that's fire, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cryptic tweets and taking down pictures on social media, that gives him cover to say, what? You guys are reading too much in it.
You're right.
What, me?
You're right. Stefon, I'm fine.
So I think it's, but the fact that we have a history here, and this comes on the heels of a season in which he literally didn't come to work for 2 days and was fined over $200,000 by the team, and said there's truth in all rumors, and we know there's some unhappiness with just the entire offense and his role in it. And so you would be naive to say, that's nothing. It's just
right.
It's just a guy.
Which I've done before.
Yeah.
I used to do that and
yeah.
be like, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't. He's fine. And then I'm with you. I think it's smoke, not fire.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's smoke. It's
a
smoke,
lot of smoke.
It's smoke worth monitoring. You know how sometimes you see a little plum of smoke and you're like, the neighbor's burning leaves. It means nothing.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you see a plum of smoke and you're like, is the neighbor's house on fire? It's the second one. It's worth monitoring.
Yeah. I think it's definitely worth monitoring because, like I said, this is not just a player who has no history of just being disgruntled. I mean, we saw it this year, but let's play along that. Okay, let's assume it is something. Why now? Like what? I mean,
who knows?
Is it because of changing office coordinators?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a contract thing because he's, the money. It's not a money thing.
I don't think it's a money thing. I think if it involves the Vikings, I don't think it has a thing to do with his contract. I think it has to do with
the philosophy of the offense
and getting the football.
But towards after he had his episode early in the year, I didn't get a sense or any rumblings that there was more underneath there that he didn't express his unhappiness in a public way. Now maybe he did it privately and we just aren't privy to it. But
correct.
And maybe this has just been, he was unhappy throughout the whole year. He just didn't go about it in a way that's going to get him fined $200,000 again. Mm-hmm. But yeah, this is sort of par for the course for what Stefon does. I mean, we've seen he's had cryptic tweets over the years, and it gets the fan base riled up, and maybe he enjoys that.
Smoke or fire is the game. We start with Stefon Diggs, and do you think it's smoke or fire, the fact that he won't stop on social media when it comes to, well, what we think is the Vikings? 651-646-8255. Ventline is the show. Let's start with our buddy Dave. Hi, Dave. How are you today?
Cherry Estate is alive and kicking.
Glad to hear it.
After the George Washington 3-part series, History Channel last night, I'm gonna go the Alexander Hamilton route here, and I'm gonna just say this. You know me, I've called a lot over the time. We've talked about it. I think it's fire.
Ooh.
And it's really hard for me to say that because yeah.
There you go. Little panic alarm.
Two things about me. It's going to start off negative, but it's going to end positive.
All right.
I
That's
love
you.
Stefon Diggs.
Yep.
I love his fire. I love that he's a check on some of these guys and the coaching staff and the locker room. In my opinion, at times, I like what he brings, but I am never going to sacrifice this organization for one player. And I think he's become a pawn, a chess piece on a board. Let me state it again. You trade him. I'm glad to hear Chip's on the show. I know that I don't think he'll be around by April for the first report date, much less OTAs and whatnot, because I think he'll be gone with free agency approaching and with the draft, because I think we need to focus on that. And I've been saying this all along. With 2 number 1 picks, which I would definitely not take anything less than a 1 or something else for him additionally to that.
Mm-hmm.
If you go into that draft with 2 picks in the first round, a bevy of 10 other picks, other players as options, I think that Spielman could then have the ability to, as I said, Jed, move around and get that quarterback finally, right, without sacrificing the farm in that case. People may disagree with me. That's fine. Or you position yourself with 2 picks in the first round, or you get 2 guys that can come in, offensive tackle,
right,
so on and so forth right away and start. I want to make one more point. I know that this is probably going to happen, and I'm going to be irritated if it does.
Uh-huh.
Okay? You can go to UT Chattanooga and get a cornerback in the 3rd or 4th round and let Zimmer develop these guys, okay? They need to focus on what Collar keeps talking about, which he's brought me around to the idea of scoring offense, right? So you've got to focus on offense. There are enough pieces defensively. There's a lot of guys. I could rattle them off. The defensive line is going to be fine. The linebackers are going to be fine. With or without Harris, we're going to be fine. I think if we sign him, which you and I disagree on, then I think it makes the secondary a little bit stronger as these young guys come around. So I'm of the opinion, let's get rid of all these guys or most of them.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at what we need to do, this year, next year. And if we do make the decision to get a quarterback, you're in a position then, Judd and Chip, to have those 2 picks as pawn pieces. And then you know what? You can do what you want to do. If you don't want to rebuild and you want to win now, which you better, you can. If you want to say, we need to get a quarterback
mm-hmm.
and we need to make the fan base happy and continue to say, we want you to have faith in us indirectly, they probably don't care about that. But the bottom line is, I think most fans wouldn't have a problem with a pick and a move earlier in the first round as opposed to moving back. So
Thanks,
my
Dave.
point is,
Thanks, Dave. Your thoughts, Chip Scoggins?
I love they brought up UT Chattanooga. That's my school.
Well, I think he was pulling at your heartstrings on purpose. I think he hears the draw a little bit, and he's pulling at your heartstrings.
I used to love UTC. We've talked about that. That would be the only way I would trade Diggs is you have to get a 1st round pick. And I like the idea of, although as we're talking, we saw Mel Kiper's mock draft up there with Tua going 3 to Detroit, but I do like the idea of maybe trying to address that position in this draft, but I wouldn't do it. I think you have more pressing needs right now that you have to fix. But if you were to trade Diggs and get an extra 1st round pick, I think it would give you that capital to try to do that.
And in the game Smoke or Fire, I'm not even saying that they are necessarily going to trade Diggs in the coming months. I'm just saying, do you think there's something going on from his standpoint? And I would just not dismiss it.
And the problem is,
and you can tell him, dude, you got a contract.
Yeah.
As Collar said, you can tell him that.
Yeah, but you don't.
But that can create all types of problems too.
That's not.
Athletes can make your life miserable. Let's make that very clear. Like they are.
And I can be honest with you, I thought they handled this episode last year perfectly.
Yeah, I actually thought it worked.
It became a 1 week
from
thing.
all ends.
It became a 1 week thing.
And I thought Diggs' message got across.
He got his point across, and they got their point across. Guess what? You got fined over $200,000, and that's not insignificant.
Because you can't just not show up for work
You
in that
can't.
league.
Yeah, exactly.
651-646-8255. The vice president of the coffee club has been holding. John, are you in Boston on vacation now? Is that right?
I'm just north of Boston.
All right.
Easier to say Boston, but yeah, here we are. We're on vacation.
Okay.
Chipper, good day to you, good sir.
Yeah, thank you. Happy to you.
Yep, I'm really sorry that there can't be construction noise for both of you guys. I know how
This is far too quiet,
I like
John.
the train. You gotta get the subway going.
Yeah,
The sirens are good?
We were on the train yesterday. But here's the deal. I've been calling in, as Judd knows, every day. I know it's important for you, Judd. And the thing is, I know that my takes have been getting worse and worse. So today,
They have been deteriorating, actually. I was going to call you personally, but I don't have your number.
right, we'll work on that. But here's the deal. I had to pull in the heavy hitter today. So we got Pat, the OG water boy from the 61 Vikings. He's got some takes.
Okay, I guess we're talking about Stefon Diggs. Hi, guys.
Hi, Pat. How are you?
This is Pat. Yeah.
Yeah, Pat.
And I'm. Should I tell him who I am?
No, you did.
Yeah. Well, I'm the water boy, but I'm also John's dad.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Fire away with the takes, man. Vent line's all about. John will tell you.
Yeah. Anyway, so here's the deal with Stefon Diggs. Number one, I don't think his market value is ever going to be higher.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, he's indicated he doesn't really want to be here. Number three, I don't think he fits as well into the future, more consolidated Kubiak offense.
Okay.
And number four, remember Percy Harvin.
Remember him.
By that I mean-
Well, how could I forget him? Scoggins, too, man.
Yeah.
When you get to a situation like this, it doesn't get better. So I would say, and then last but not least, I think, this is the year of bold trades by all the Twin Cities teams. And the Vikings need offensive line. They could actually, if you look at San Francisco and Kansas City, they need, they don't have to be superstar running backs. You can find them, but they need durable running backs.
Mm-hmm.
And they need to, but they really need an offensive line. So I would say, definitely a fire and put out the evacuation order.
Pat, that's a great call.
Yeah.
In fact, tell John to take notes from your call. So when he calls back tomorrow, his call's as strong as yours was right there. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Guys.
Bye.
Yeah, Dad was better there. That's good.
Percy, he's
Pat's his. I thought his best point
Yeah.
was things don't tend to get better, and that's the fear you run with here is when is the next outburst or when's the next. And he didn't really have an outburst. He didn't show up. But is he going to be okay with this offense long term?
Mm-hmm.
And if he's, like I said, these posts may mean nothing, but to pretend that just to ignore him is a dangerous thing. And so you wonder if Zimmer or Kubiak's not on the phone with him saying, "Hey, Steph, what's going on here?"
Yeah, you okay with this? Are
Yeah,
you
what-
okay
what-
with
what-
our
what
offense?
does this
and
mean?
he might have, and keep in mind too, my guess is because lots of players do this, Chipper, at his exit meeting after the season, he might have very well told them up front, I really don't like how we're doing things here. I want the ball more.
Sure.
I need the ball more. And he might know of things to come. He might know that Dalvin Cook's going to get an extension. And if Dalvin does, he's going to be probably the focal point of the entire offense. And he then might say, well, hold on a second. You're going to have Dalvin signed to a new contract. You've got Adam, you've got Kyle, you've got Irv Smith. What's my, is my role a star role?
And do you think there's any way Dalvin doesn't get one this offseason?
Minnesota sports fans.
Whoops.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
that's good stuff.
Yeah.
No, I'm beginning. Well, one, I wouldn't do that, but more and more, I'm beginning to
I
think
think
that
he does.
because Zimmer loves Dalvin so much, that he gets one. So,
And
do
I
I
think
think it happens? Yes, I do. Do I agree with it? Not necessarily. 651-646-8255. The game is smoke or fire. The subject is Stefon Diggs. Richard, how are you?
What's up, guys?
What?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to
morning
you.
To you guys.
I'm drinking my coffee right now, Richard.
Yeah, I got a cup of Bustelo in my hand. You know what? I think it's smoke, but fire at the same time, like a little tiny fire.
Okay, that's fair.
That's good.
Fair enough.
A little tiny fire. What I think is the problem? He knows that the offense is going to be like that, but I think the real problem is Mr. Kirk. I swear to you, I think it's him.
With Stefon or what? Like how so?
With Stefon, I think it's because Kirk is just not the guy, and I bet you if we did a trade or something and got Kirk out, put him in got him to waive the trade clause and got somebody else, this would all go away. I think the problem is really Kirk. I don't think it's so much the offense. I think it's Kirk is the problem.
Thanks, Richard.
I gotta be honest. I from what I hear and get the sense, I think it's more offensive philosophy than the quarterback.
Yeah,
that's
what I heard
too.
Too.
Run first. They want to pound the ball, that type of thing. Where at least this past year when he didn't show up to work,
mm-hmm.
from all I could gather, it was more about direction than the actual guy throwing the ball.
I heard the same exact thing, and I heard that he was, and if you think about it, if you're Stefon Diggs and you're looking at all these components around you, and you're thinking to yourself, I'm making a lot to be a star player, and make no mistake, guys like him want to be star players.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not just good enough to be paid well.
They're competitive.
Yeah, exactly. But they're ultra competitive, and they want their next contract to be bigger than their last contract. And, I'm sure Stefon Diggs looks at himself and he's like, I'm among the best wide receivers in this league. Am I being allowed to perform like that? And so does part of that come back to Kirk? It probably does. But I don't think that this is a fallout between Stefon and Kirk.
I agree. And you also wonder, too, just fundamentally, Judd, if you're going to be a run first and run heavy and emphasis on this, does it make sense to have two wide receivers making the kind of money they do?
Probably not.
I mean,
and you also, and to that point as well, if you're Stefon Diggs, you full well know how your head coach thinks. And you're looking around this league. I mean, Stefon's a smart dude.
Mm-hmm.
He's looking around this league and he's looking at the Sean McVays and the Shanahans and all these young, oh man, let's do this. Let's try this. And you basically have a head
Kansas
coach
City.
who loves Kansas City. And you basically have a head coach who shows up for work and says, I love defense, and you run.
Mm-hmm. Ball control.
How are you going to feel about that?
Yeah, and especially if we know how competitive he is, everybody sees that he feels like he could make the offense better with the ball in his hands more.
Yeah, I like how Richard put it. There's a bit of a fire here. It's not a bit. It's not.
It's funny, man. You're on the smoke side, but everybody else the fans are on the fire side, huh?
Let's continue the phone calls. Smoker Fire, Stefon Diggs, 651-646-8255. The Vetline Coffee Club on until noon. We're in the TCL broadcast studios, and we bring in Michael. Hi, Michael.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Going good.
Good, thanks.
Good. Yeah, I agree. I think it's fire. I love Stefon Diggs. He's my favorite player. I can't imagine the Vikings not having him on the team, but I'm getting sick of the drama. I'm starting to think, part of this whole deal, too, is if he's gone, I don't know how Thielen can step up and be the man. I think he's a great number two. I don't see him as a number one. I see Diggs as that number one premier receiver who can hold his own without some of those other weapons around him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Thielen can do that. And that's a fear of mine. I'm about as optimistic of a Vikings fan as there is out there, but I am ready to blow this thing up. I don't see how we can be better than last year. I don't see with all the changes that are coming with the direction of defense that we're going to have to let some key players go. And I don't know how our coverage is going to be. I don't know how our pass rush is going to be. I know our offensive line isn't great at this moment, and hopefully we can make that a little bit better. But I do know Cousins got about as far as we can possibly get last year. I don't think he can get us further. I was 100% on board getting him on the team.
Yep, agreed.
When he was a free agent.
Agreed.
And I was wanting that because I wanted quarterback stability for the first time in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm at the point where I'm like, he got to this point, and this is as far as we're going to get. Please do not extend it. Please let this be the final year. Let us make some decisions on where we want to go. Maybe draft quarterback this year, but if it's not the right pick, please don't pick that quarterback. Just wait. Come back next year, see what we can do. Even if we can get for Diggs for next year's draft, I'm all about that. I'd also like to see get Mariota. I love to have Mariota as a backup quarterback.
Really?
Play him like Taysom Hill. Really Taysom Hill. Let him be the guy, just as a change of pace guy, who can maybe.
But he's gonna want. I think he's gonna want one more shot here. I don't think he's gonna do that. I think he's gonna think to himself, I was a high draft pick. I've got a chance. Like if he accepted that role, I'd be intrigued.
Yeah.
But I think he's a few years from saying, you know what, I do
I'll
sort
be
of
a backup. Yeah.
I do sort of not play football that well.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
I agree. Absolutely.
Great phone call.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Michael, Sports Dad is so proud right now.
He's ready to blow it up.
Do you know why? Because that Michael's call brought reality.
Yeah.
He's a Viking. But here's what I love about people like Michael. He's a big fan.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I love Stefon Diggs, but I love when people can then mix that with, but realistically,
and
here's what he thinks.
But he did bring up a good point.
Good job, Michael.
Yeah, Michael did bring up a good point that, okay, you remove Diggs, or if you removed Thielen from the equation, and teams can focus on one or the other, they're obviously not going to be as good without the other guy on the other side, right?
No, but we saw Diggs play without Thielen this year, and he did pretty doggone well. I think when you take
Diggs away
from
from
Thielen, Michael's point holds up pretty well.
Sure.